Good morning and welcome to Coffee and the Word.
Troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have...
I don't know how that happened. Anyway, welcome to Coffee and the Word. I'm kind of tired, I guess, because it's been a long several weeks, and anyway, I feel like I'm finally getting back in my groove, and then I have a morning like this. But anyway, today's verse comes from John chapter 14. And before I get into the verse, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had somebody tell you, don't be afraid? Or maybe they said it this way, don't be scared. And you don't want to be. You want to be able to face the fear. You want to be able to overcome it, but there's too many things that you know or have experienced or have been told, and so it's so difficult to overcome that inner fear, right? It's so difficult to be able to just rise above it. In fact, sometimes it feels like it's impossible. There are things that you may want to do, like with every fiber of your being, but because of fear and uncertainty and all those emotions, you can't find the strength and the courage to do it. Even though somebody tells you over and over, don't be scared. And so I was thinking about this, and I have a healthy fear of falling. Actually, even falling, I'm not afraid of. I have a healthy fear of a sudden stop at the bottom of a fall. I think most people would say, oh, you just have a fear of heights. Actually, well, kind of, but not really. Like, as long as I'm secure, I don't care how high I am. When I am secure and I know I'm safe and I know I can't fall, I'm fine. It's when there is any danger whatsoever of me falling. That's when the fear sets in. And fear can be such a powerful force that even things that I know are safe and that I could do, I can't overcome because of fear. And you know, that's one thing, to have like a fear of heights or a fear of spiders or a fear of snakes or a fear of other things. But when we talk about fear, some of the harder fears to overcome are fears that well up from emotional things or personal experiences. And so it makes it all the more interesting when Jesus says this: peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. So it's interesting that Jesus doesn't just say, don't be scared. Here's what Jesus says. He's like, I'm going to leave you my peace. My peace is not like the peace that the world gives. Don't be scared. My peace is not like the peace that the world gives. It's never hurt you before. My peace comes from this truth. I know who God is. I know the sovereignty of God. I know that nothing happens apart from the will of the Father. I know this, so that's the peace that I enjoy. I enjoy a peace that allows me to stand before a mob who is ready to kill me and say, I am Jesus. I'm talking about the kind of peace that allows me when I stand before Pilate, I don't utter a word. Or the kind of peace that allows me from the cross to say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. The kind of peace that Jesus is talking about, that he's offered us, that he tells us, don't let our hearts be troubled and don't be afraid. That kind of peace, he says, it comes from a recognition not of who you are in your circumstances, but who God is and his sovereignty. I know who my God is. And when I was a kid, and I've told this before, but when I was a kid, I remember reading through the Old Testament in Bible class or hearing Old Testament Bible stories. And I was always amazed at how quickly people would worry. Like, why are you worried? Like, God's going to take care of this. Like, I remember when we were doing the story of the Exodus, and then the people would murmur and complain and gripe because they didn't have water. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Didn't God give you water last time you asked? Why don't you just ask him instead of complaining? And then a little bit later, you get into to more stories, and you get into the stories of David and Goliath, and I was always curious, like, why don't you ever learn that God will do what he says he'll do? Why, Saul, did you reject the will of God? Why do we continue to do this? And that's what Jesus is saying. It's like, my peace I give you. I don't give peace like the world gives peace that is circumstantial. I give peace like God gives, that is absolute. And so I just want to encourage you, like, if you'll take just a moment, you'll realize that there have been a lot more times in your life where you've worried about something that God handled. You feared something God protected you from. And over again, it's almost like Jesus is calling out to you, my peace I leave with you and give you. Not like the world does. It's not temporary and it's not circumstantial. It's absolute. I'd like you to spend a little time today considering all the times and all the ways that God shows up big, that God's will is done. So you can stop doing all those things that are antithetical to peace and start embracing the peace that passes all understanding, that will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. Have a great day. This has been another edition of Coffee and the Word.